Okay, so last night I went to bed at like approximately 3 a.m. So I told you I had an interview with a political person yesterday. Well, no, I wouldn't call her a politician, but a person of significance within the political field for an organization that I am now currently working under. And I had a great time talking to her, and I spoke to her hours before. And as I said, after I spoke to her, I then had my family event via FaceTime of my little cousin going to prom. Right? Right. So then I had everything else that I had to do last night, which included all of my household duties. So taking out the trash, making sure dinner was done, and cleaning up a little bit. But I knew that this morning I had to finish up the profile for the person that I interviewed. Now, as I said, I enjoyed my conversation with this person, and I had to take my bias out of the conversation and the profile that I was writing. I just wanted it to be about the research that I had done and the interview in which I spoke to her. So I replayed a lot of my interview that I recorded with her understanding and agreeing to. And so I re-listened to that a lot yesterday, like finding clips and writing it out. And then I did it again this morning. I woke up this morning though knowing that I had a 10 o'clock meeting for a podcast for my school that I'm in. I mean, can you see the excitement in my face? That's the clip that you just saw, me being in that podcast, like the post recording conversation. And so I had that this morning, but I woke up with the intention that I would finish up the profile because I wrote it 5 different times. I wrote one, and then I was like, okay, now let's just make this more about the facts that pertains to the research that I did in the interview. So the more I was listening to what she said, and then in combination to what they said, and that's me using the correct pronouns because those are their pronouns, and thinking of all of the things that they said to me, the research that I had done. So I had to work on that, including making sure that I use the right pronouns when talking about this person, when I was talking about them. And just so we make that very clear, I don't have any issues with that. I agree with it. I can't say that I agree with people living their best life and living the life that makes them happy and have an issue using their right pronouns. I don't understand why that's a big issue. But anyway, so I was working on that repeatedly. So then at 10 o'clock, the time that my interview for the podcast was supposed to start, there was like, the rush of emails for that. Now the person who I was doing the interview with, I'm calling her my friend. We have decided that we are calling each other friends, and we are trying to figure out how to make our friendship space less distant. Anyway, it was really fun. I love her. Her name is Megan. She's awesome. Love her. Okay. And at this point, I'm claiming my ASU influencer status, and they don't have to give it to, well, they kind of gave it to me, but kind of like I made it that's what I was. But anyway, she understands. I will give you more details about the podcast in a second. So talking to her, we're doing the pre-planning of the podcast, talking about other random stuff like, Taylor Swift and Beyonce, the mothers of the concert touring world right now who are taking over everything. So we were talking about that, but then also just talking about everything else that we were supposed to talk about. The interview was supposed to be 30 minutes. Okay, it started at 10:15. You got that clip at like 11:45. Okay, we were still going, and I still had to make sure that the profile that I had worked on got sent in. So luckily I kept that window open and I just kept writing as I was going. They are currently working on recampaigning for another term. I wrote about that, and I wrote about the things that we were talking about. So this person significantly was telling me how being a parent in politics, and people have this automatic assumption of who you are and being a politician and being a parent, and how supposedly you can't do it all. Do people forget? Okay. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure I threw that note in there for them, because in our conversation, like I said, this person knows it's recorded, so I'm not using anything that was taken out of context. This was a literal question. This was a part of their literal answer. They were talking about how the skills and the things that they learned as a parent and how that affects the things that they do in their position. That sometimes that just like you can't satisfy all of the children in the household, but it has a betterment for everybody in the household. Sometimes you have to take those steps, and sometimes you're going to get backlash. You're going to get the people that may say things like, I don't know why you did this, and that wasn't smart. And then at some point there's going to be a point where you come to realize, like, no, okay, I didn't understand it at first, but now I get it. Now it makes sense because I see the bigger picture of this one piece of what this person has done. So I wish them the best of luck in their campaign, and you know, I hope that whomever gets chosen to take over office or gets reelected into office, that they continue on the path of remembering that you were elected by the people and that you are there for the people. And surprisingly, I got that in literally in the nick of time. In the nick of time, with including my heading and the topic, just because I am how I am. And then also in the email stating basically like, hey, this is a hard copy of the profile that I've completed, and if you want me to send it back in plain text, please let me know. So now it's just after 12. My next meeting, which will be actually for this, I believe is at 4 o'clock. It's been a while since I had to like write a profile or write up on anybody, so I'm hoping for the best. As I'm sitting here, I'm getting more emails, and so I got an email from Megan. I asked her, I showed her my camera, and she was like, oh, did you like record for the vlog? And I was like, no, like once we started talking, I just kind of totally forgot my camera was sitting there. But then you get the funny clip of me showing her to you, and so that'll probably be like in something, I mean, besides you, I'll probably use it in something else, I don't know. But she recorded our conversation for the podcast. No one will probably ever see my face unless they go looking for me on social media, but she sent me the recording of the video, and I'm gonna make a trailer for it. We're not quite sure exactly when it's going up. It's assumed it'll be next month, aka July, but it will depend on the newsletter and if something else occurs. So I'm really excited and scared and happy for that. So like things are happening. Now I just need to get a job. So it's been one heck of a week, and it's crazy because in my mind I'm like, you know, this is what I wanted, and it is. So I'm happy, like I'm excited. It feels good to be back in, I don't want to say the run of things, but you know, being excited to wake up every day for the work that I'm doing, because the things that I'm doing are actually things that I want to be doing. But right now I'm just in a really good mood. I'm trying to think of what else I need to do. Oh, I do have paperwork that I also need to do, which just reminded me of something that I completely forgot about again. I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna upload it to my computer and send that over, and that'll be it probably until my next meeting. I want to check on my little cousin. Her prom was yesterday, like I said yesterday, I want to check on her. It's still early. It's just after 12, so she may still be asleep. But I just want to check on her and see how her night was. There's one person I wanted to reach out to. Let me just open this one and put this on the side. There is somebody I wanted to reach out to who I had an interview with last week too. I wanted to talk to them and just see where things were, because we literally were talking about just, you know, they needed some time, and I'm just gonna reach back out to them and see what they say. I think I'm gonna have a busy summer, and I'm not disturbed or bothered by that.